Okay guys, first you'll need a spandex dome cap. It is one size fits all, so it doesn't matter if you have small head or a big head, it will fit. You'll also need T-pins to keep the wig in place, a DIY wig elastic band to sew into your cap, also needle and thread, as well as a foam head. Mine is a little old and dirty, so excuse that, as well as some scissors. My mistake that I made is I only had one needle and that left of thread. I do suggest buying more than one needle so the process is quicker, and also more thread so you don't run out in the middle of sewing your wig like I did. Right here I'm just showing you guys the package that I received from aliexpress hair. This package, this hair was delivered to me through FedEx. I ordered it on a Wednesday and I received it on Monday, so the process didn't take too long, 3 to 5 business days. Right now I'm just pulling out the hair, showing you the wefts in the bag. So they all came in plastic bags. I'm just showing you what the hair looks like up close. I'm going to be showing you the lengths as well as the frontal. I got the inches 18, 20, and 22 with a 16-inch frontal. They all came in these mesh wig caps. Really, babe? The hair is super soft and silky. The ends are definitely full. So yeah, this is the hair. aliexpress was also nice enough to send me a cute little purple beauty blender. So thank you, aliexpress, for this. I will definitely be using it. Also in the pack came some instructions for the hair. So whenever you wash them, the bundles, there are instructions that come along with it, as well as aliexpress's social media accounts. So definitely give them a follow. Now on to the construction of the wig. First I want to show you all what the hairline of the frontal looks like up close. The hairline is very full and I love that it's not straight across. So it'll be easier for me to pluck and to have an eye's view of what the hair should look like. I'm also showing you the back of the cap. As you'll see markings on the cap, I actually measured the frontal to my head. So wherever you see the markings is how the frontal meets the both of my ears, also in the middle, the top of the middle of my head. So I stretched the wig cap with the T-pins in order to get the right size for my head when I'm sewing the frontal onto the cap. I'm showing how I have the frontal pulled forward a little bit. The wig cap is marked, stretched with T-pins, and the markings mark where the frontal meets from ear to ear. So the markings on each side is where my ear is, and the marking in the middle is the point where the frontal is stretched back far enough to where I sew it down on the cap. The whole frontal is flat on top of my head. And the T-pins secure that stretch in place. So as I'm sewing it to where the wig cap or the whole wig fits my head perfectly, including the frontal. In order to get the frontal to meet the markings on the wig cap, make sure you stretch the wig cap to where the frontal also lays flat onto the cap, and secure that stretch in place with those T-pins. use as many T-pins as you need. I had 12 T-pins in the pack, and I used about 4 to 5 T-pins to keep the frontal and the cap in place. If nothing I'm saying makes sense, just keep watching. I'm sure pretty much you'll understand what's going on as you keep watching. As you all will notice throughout the video, I'm struggling to sew this wig because usually I would use my tripod to stick the foam head on, but I'm using it to record this video. So if you guys have something sturdy to put the wig head onto and secure it, please do so, because you will have a hard time sewing the wig in your lap. I'm just showing you all how I do my needle and thread. I'm just showing you how I stick the thread through the bottom of the needle and tie a knot at the bottom. In order for me to sew on my frontal, I start sewing the frontal from the middle. That way, once I get to each side, the middle is already secured in place, and I can just stretch the ends of the lace of the frontal to where they meet the markings of my ears. So I'm just going to fast forward me sewing up one side of the frontal. That way you can see how flat the frontal turns out after me sewing this one side. Again, this process was a struggle from having to sew the wig from my lap, because again, I'm using the tripod for my camera, as well as I'm trying to get all of the angles to where you all can see what I'm doing, and it's just a lot. So bear with me. I'm making this video for y'all, so hopefully I'm helping out somehow. I'm putting this part in regular time since I am up close. That way you all can see my sewing technique. Right now it's not showing the good part of my sewing and stitching, but it's up close, so you'll see what I'm doing. So the stitching doesn't have to be perfect, nor am I a professional. I'm just showing you how I make my wigs, and I'm sure you all get the point, so I'm just going to speed this back up so we can save some time. So now that I am almost done sewing the frontal, I'm just showing you all how I pull the frontal taut. So I pull it really tight so it's even with that marking in the cap, and I pull out that last T-pin and I start sewing. Once I got to the other end of the frontal, I did have to repin the cap to stretch it out some more. That way the end of the frontal could meet the end of the cap, if that makes sense. Now look how flat that frontal is, girl. Yes, get into it. Starting off with the longest bundle, I am using the 22-inch, and right now I'm showing you what the bundle looks like up close, as well as the width size. So as you can see, you don't get a lot in the bundle, but it is still pretty thick. When sewing in my tracks, I put the needle through the cap first and then through the wefts. That way the end of the weft is secured to the cap. And I'm also double wefting my bundles so I can fit all 3 bundles into the wig. When sewing the first bundle in, make sure you start at the very bottom of the cap, and when putting the needle through, make sure it is on the first layer of the band. Do not go through the whole band of the cap because you will lose stretch of the cap if you sew through both layers. So just stay on the top layer of the cap. If you have this type of band spandex cap, you'll know what I'm talking about. Make sure you use those T-pins to secure the wefts as you sew. Now that I'm at the end of my first bundle, I'm just showing you how I secure the end so that it doesn't come apart. I'm actually double sewing, so I'm sewing to the end and sewing back the other way a couple of stitches, and then I'm wrapping the thread around the needle twice. That is going to secure the thread in place so that last piece of that bundle does not move or come apart. When sewing a new bundle in, I just do the same thing I did with the first one. I put the needle through the cap first, then straight through that weft, and I start stitching. After sewing in that second bundle, I am going into my 18-inch bundle, and I'm showing you how much space the other two bundles took up and how much more I have to go. At this point, I knew I up because obviously you see I have a lot of space left, and that's because I didn't sew the wefts one finger space apart. So whenever you're sewing your wefts, make sure you have a finger space apart on each row, because I unfortunately ran out of hair right when I got to the top. But as always, I do finesse my way out of it. I ended up having to cut the 18-inch bundle in half. That way I can just stitch it as a single weft, and to make it enough hair to reach all the way back up to the frontal. A very key note: this is the only piece of hair that I had to cut because I do not like to cut my wefts. Not cutting your wefts and doing the flip over method actually helps with shedding. It prevents more shedding than it needs to. So if I do get any shedding, it's probably from me cutting my last bundle. On your last row of stitching, make sure to connect that weft to the end of the frontal so it lays flat against the cap. We don't want any lumps and bumps, ladies. Make sure you cut that excess cap off so the lace shows through and you won't be seeing that black cap peeking through. Don't cut too close to the sewing, to the stitching, because you might cut your stitches out and that won't be good at all. After I cut off that excess cap, I did call it a night because I started the wig like super late, but now I'm just showing you the end result of me sewing the elastic band onto the wig. I just measured that band from ear to ear very tightly so the wig will stay secure on my head. So I sewed the band from ear to ear, so wherever the frontal ended and the cap began, I sewed the band from that side of the cap to the other side of the cap. Only on the cap. Do not sew the band onto the lace. So this is the result of the wig I just made. I hope you all enjoyed this video and found it very informative. I will be having another video coming out with me plucking the hairline and making the wig look natural. So if you guys want to see that, definitely give this video a thumbs up. Comment down below on any other video ideas, and I will check you all out in the next video. Bye guys.
Still do these hoes the same when I'm back on road. If you wasn't there for me when I was all alone, then bitch don't expect no love.